Welcome in, everyone, to the Field of 68 Best Bets show presented by our fine sponsor, BetRivers. It's Matthew Cox running point this evening, Kai Jim, and our final show of the holiday season. We will be off until next Tuesday. So get all your licks in now. Flood the chat mob with inquiries. We'll make sure we hit all those. I'm going to point Jim Brute as the official czar.
Oh, boy. All right.
So get ready. And Kai, you'll be playing kind of off the ball, flanking us both.
Great.
A lot of big, meaningful games last night. We have a few this evening as well before we kind of shut it down for a few days in advance of conference play next weekend. We learned a few things. We don't always learn, but sometimes we do. Kyle, going to you first. You were taking diligent, copious notes last night. What did you write down?
Well, Matt, I wasn't, but I did catch the Xavier Villanova game. Tale of two halves there, obviously. Villanova looked like a continuation of the last two games we saw. Maybe they aren't back. Maybe they are actually kind of just average. But guess what, Jim? They persevered in the second half. They looked like the Villanova we expected them to look like in that game. Ended up covering against a very good Xavier team. Still hold that team in very high regards. Kudos to Villanova for getting back on track, seemingly.
Yeah, kind of. That was the old fork for Villanova backers. Fork. Not sure they didn't deserve it for about 37 minutes, but they were clearly the better team at the end. I like the stat that I think it was the play-by-play announcer was giving of the team going the end that Villanova was first half and Xavier second half was like 1 of 23 from deep. Like just whoever was going that direction could not shoot. That was interesting. Matt, my other takeaway also is that Davidson's the best team in the A10 right now. Like they have the best rating in KenPom. Like they've passed St. Bonaventure. They get that huge win over Alabama on a neutral floor. I think you have to call them the favorite right now in that league. It's bizarre, but with the struggles that Bonaventure has had, Davidson has stepped into the throne at this point.
How much of that result, what percentage is that Davidson versus Alabama?
I will go 75% Davidson, 25% Bama. Okay. I think Davidson's just great.
Yeah, I think they are too. I was going to go close to 50-50. Kind of starting to reassess my Bama love. I was kind of hoping they'd be undervalued given the pieces they lost last season, but it turns out Herb Jones was really good. He mattered. A couple other guys were important.
Don't reassess Bama. Come on. They're still good.
No, I know they're good, but it's, we're trying to nitpick and precisely place them at the top of the totem pole. So we have to dig into these nuances. Well, I guess we don't right now, and we won't. Let's not litigate this. There's big bets to be had. Let's get through it right now. I have a takeaway. Do you guys want to hear it? It was just going to be me bitching about Washington and how bad they are.
I think that should be.
Why not?
Should be done.
Now let's spare the audience. Let's spare Mike Hopkins any more slander than he's probably already getting the local media today.
Matt, who's finishing ahead in the Pac-12? Washington or Oregon State, who ran Nichols off the floor last night?
I like the Beavers. They get healthy up front, Jim. There's actually like an upside to that roster. There's nothing of the sorts for Washington. I don't know how you can not make a single three in a 2022 basketball game. But Washington somehow achieved that feat last night while going, I think I'm cool 50% from the charity stripe. And again, neither here nor there. Let's get to the rundown here. Big showdown tonight in Rocky Top Nation, Kai. Tennessee will be hosting Arizona. We love Arizona, but I love Tennessee. And I was looking to be cute with this. I was hoping they'd open a spread with Arizona favorite, but no, the odds makers are trying to get out in the way of this Arizona steam. What are you looking at here?
Arizona, honestly. I loved them at 2.5, the opener, 1.5 at BetRivers right now. Probably stay away, but you could argue Arizona should be a slight favorite here. Obviously, these are two great teams, two top 10 teams in KenPom. Arizona's already passed its first major road test at Illinois with flying colors, Jim. I mean, sure, they got down a little bit, but Illinois was a fireball. And to be able to come back from that deficit and win that game speaks volumes about this team. And they just have so much size. Tennessee has size, but it's not the same type of size. It's not the same type of top line size that Coloco, Tubelis, Ballo give you. I just think Arizona's awesome. And I think they take this one.
Yeah, I think we're still there's a little bit of inertia to preseason stuff on Arizona. And I don't think we should be. I think the fact that they're completely better than we imagined makes sense given the coaching change and Kirk Kriisa emerging at point guard. We've just seen okay, these are the things that we weren't sure about. And now they look like mega strengths instead of question marks. Matt, if you strip out those preseason priors, I've done this with Bart Torvik's website here. Arizona's like a 5-point favorite, depending on how much you give for home here. If you give 3, it's 5, but maybe you want to give more because of the high home spot. But I just think Arizona is ridiculous. Like Kai mentioned, they went to Illinois, took an 18-0 run from Illinois in that game, and still didn't crumble. Illinois made 16 threes, and Arizona just kept going, kept humming, and they won. So I'm a wildcat guy here as well, Matt. Have been for a while this season. I love this Arizona team.
Yeah, I'm just surprised I'm not on Tennessee. I've just been really high on the Vols, and it seems like the market has started to catch up with Arizona. But Jim, you mentioned it, and we look at the spread sitting around 1.5. Clearly not. I actually almost am leaning Arizona at the current price. In general, you mentioned just like the inertia that Arizona still has. I think that's a microcosm of a lot of teams' situations, especially the last few weeks. Teams that are hot are staying hot. They're rolling. Teams that are cold are really folding pretty quick. And it seems like as you get closer to the conference play, that inertia really, it's amplified, I guess. So not that Tennessee's in disarray or anything, but just how good Arizona's been playing. And it's tough to see them laying an egg here tonight. And another big spot as they continue to climb toward their case for a true at-large number 1 overall seed in the big dance. All right, we got 2 back-to-back ACC conference showdowns here. The first of which is a pretty big spread. The big bad Duke Blue Devils, Jim, are laying 9 to the visiting Hokies. I think there's a pretty obvious matchup advantage here for the Devils in terms of just sheer size and athleticism. The Hokies have struggled with that DNA so far this season. The Memphis game comes to mind, even the Dayton game. A few other teams with formidable front lines have given Vatek some problems. Do you think 9's too much to lay, though?
No, I don't. I think this is the home ACC opener for the farewell tour, and the Virginia Tech concerns are what get me on Duke here. Like they just can't handle the wing and front court athleticism that Duke has. They've shown it multiple times this year. I mean, even Dayton, they couldn't go to Dayton and really compete that well. And Duke is beyond what Dayton is right now. So I think this is a big Duke smash in their home opener for the ACC. Virginia Tech's win over St. Bonaventure is much more about the Bonnies' struggles and their lack of health and all the issues they have. Kai, I like Duke here. I think -9 is low enough to lay.
Yeah, it's definitely a gut lean towards Duke here. I agree. I think the Bonnies game was more so about the Bonnies. You can't forget the Dayton game for Virginia Tech. Just an awful showing for them. I don't think VT Matt has the athleticism, the length, nowhere close to handle Duke this year. Duke's for real. -9 does feel high for an ACC game, especially with these two squads. Virginia Tech obviously usually hovering on that top 25 spot, but I think it's Duke. I think Duke covers -9.
Yep, agree. I like Duke here. Very close to adding it as an official best bet, but I just look at the, I think last year, Vatek got the better of Duke, and Mike Young can always pull some rabbits out of the old hat. So I'm not going to lay it as an official show play, but I think Duke has the better matchup here. We talked about how Storm Murphy, their point guard, has struggled against pressure, played really good last game against St. Bonaventure, but I think Jim mentioned this. They looked, I think that platform was set up for them to play well and look well. I think they go back to their men versus boys deficiencies against Duke with one of the more talented, most athletic front lines we've seen all year in college hoops. And obviously AJ Griffin, the emergence of him has been enormous for the Devils too, kind of a sneaky X factor to keep an eye on. A much less aesthetically pleasing game, Kai, I would say the next one here, Virginia hosting Clemson. John Paul Jones Arena better be hype because my best bet is Virginia, and I could not be less excited about it. Laying 4, opened at a field goal, got bet up to a point there. Clemson's been solid. Virginia hasn't been. It's just still such a short spread for it. Again, the start of conference play. I think there's a little bit of a reinvigoration in Virginia. And I kind of like the matchup here as well. What are you looking at?
I'll give you 3.5 if you want it at BetRivers, -3.5.
Our fine spot. I was just going to offer me the hook. Yes. Thank you, BetRivers. I love when they do that for us. They just move the line just a half point, then they move it right back up.
Historically, I believe Virginia kind of owns this matchup, at least recent years.
I believe so.
I've got that pulled up.
Oh, great.
Jim, stats.
We'll holster that. It's going to be a slow game. Last year's game was 59 possessions. Year before, 57. Year before that, 61. So this game's going to be right around 60, probably a little less than that. That makes me lean under. I realize the total is extremely low, but I still kind of like it anyways. Plenty of shooting, Jim, for Virginia, theoretically, Clemson to beat Virginia's pack line. But Virginia at home, I do think they're better coached. They are still a disciplined team despite their struggles thus far. I'm leaning towards the Hoos.
Yeah, that's the one thing about the matchup that has me a little spooked. Is like, holy cow, we actually have a Clemson team that can shoot for once, like, and from the front court spots too. It's not just a couple guards that light it up. But yeah, so the matchup history at Virginia. Virginia's won 9 of the last 10. They've only covered 6 of the last 10, but it's a lot of big spreads, guys, and that makes sense because Virginia's been a big home favorite over bad Clemson teams. This one's only -3.5. Matt, I think you've got the winner. It's not going to be ugly, or excuse me, it's not going to be pretty. Like, I don't think Virginia's going to come out and win by 20 or something. We're going to have this easy sail cover, but it might be something like Villanova last night where they just separate a little bit late and we get this kind of undervalued, really good coach in the same way Jay Wright was. So I'm with you. I like the Cavs. I hope your best bet wins, Matthew.
I hope so too. And I hope the folks who follow it also cash in. You guys mentioned the key matchup thing is like the precedent of Tony Bennett owning Brad Brownell doesn't really hold just because this is a very different Clemson team that we've seen in the past. Hopefully it doesn't come back to bite us. This is purely a price play for me. I don't really see a ton of matchup edge, a little bit of a potential interior advantage there for the Who's. I like it, don't love it. It's more of a price value play for me. Last game here before we get to the chat mob round 1 questions. COVID has reshuffled the schedule across the landscape, none bigger than unfortunate loss of Kentucky-Louisville. But God bless the Tops, Kai. Sticky Rick Stansbury going to fill the void. They're going to head to Rupp to take on Big Blue Nation. Team that's been awfully good against big-time competition. They're getting their full semblance of pieces back in the mix. We mentioned Cameron Justice, the way Davion McKnight's been playing at point guard. There's real talent on this Western Kentucky team, and we have seen them rise to the level of their competition. I don't want to call them a live dog tonight, but do you think they have a chance to compete?
I actually do. And again, kudos to these teams for filling in this game, just like Davidson, Alabama. See how that worked out for Alabama. They got that loss. But it's a tough matchup for Western Kentucky. I think Kentucky's kind of overwhelmingly stronger than WKU. Obviously, with Sharp, the 7'5" guy in the lineup, Western Kentucky's defense has been totally changed. He's averaging like 6 blocks a game. And they've definitely looked more so like the team we expected in the preseason, beating Ole Miss on a neutral by 23, beating Louisville by 10. And we know they're feisty as a dog, Jim. 3-1 against the spread as a dog versus 2-4 as a favorite. It is sort of a big spread here. I'm leaning ever so slightly towards the Tops.
Interesting. I kind of lean towards Kentucky. I just think that kind of the home juice, they're the better squad. The Sharp factor is huge. I can't wait to watch him go against Shibwe in the paint.
Yeah.
The strongest man in college basketball against the tallest man in college basketball. That's going to be quite a blast of a matchup. But what Sharp's insertion in the lineup has made them do is they play a ton of zone. Western Kentucky, like 70%, almost 75% this year per synergy. And I think Kentucky can actually shoot this year. Like, it's not a completely deficient team. You'd like to have CJ Frederick out there. But between Mintz and Ty Washington and Kellen Grady, you got a little bit of perimeter pop. Maybe they even break out the Dante Allen in case of emergency type of play here. And offensive rebounding against the zone. Shibwe is going to be everywhere. I think they get a ton of second chance opportunities against the Tops. Matt, I'm curious, do you factor in that this game is being played for charity to your handicap where it's like, well, Cal probably doesn't win by 40. It doesn't want to win by 40. But
should I have?
I didn't, but I think, it's something that's probably going to be a talking point at the very least.
No, I think the charity recipient of this wants to see a Kentucky bloodbath. So in anything, we got to add an extra point or two on Big Blue Nation side.
Western Kentucky's from Bowling Green.
Yeah, right. No, the homes actually shouldn't really be that much. We should have done more due diligence into the charities behind this, Kai. That's a miss on our part. Bad show prep. In short, I actually lean the Jim. I do like Kentucky. The zone matchup has me concerned a little bit because they can't keep Sharp out of foul trouble because they play in that zone and he's such a tree in the middle of the lane. But I just like this Kentucky team. I think they found something in that UNC game. This is, I think, the start of an inflection point of a mini surge from the Wildcats. All right, it is chat mob round 1 time. Jim, let's hit it.
I mean, we have a ton of chat questions, so a lot to get through.
I'll be short-winded for once.
Yep. A reminder, folks, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and the feed will only be on the Field of 68 Best Bets YouTube channel. So not the generic Field of 68 one, only the Best Bets one. So make sure you subscribe to that. That's where we'll be getting questions from and everything in the future. All right, starting off. First one I saw in the chat, Kai, John Damiani, Richmond Bucknell. Do we like the over here specifically is what he asked about.
Gosh, I suppose I lean that way. Neither team necessarily known for their defense. Richmond's going to be able to score against this Bucknell team. Andre Screen is fantastic inside for Bucknell, but he's not going to do well in space against Grant Golden. I think Richmond has a pretty easy time scoring here. So, yeah, I'll say I lean the over in that one.
Yeah, I can see both teams scoring relatively easily here. Maybe a little up-tempo. Bucknell loves to run. So, Matt, you get a game in the Summit, a team one team we made money on last Summit game, I believe it was Monday. Oral Roberts headed to South Dakota State. Matt Akers specifically asked about the under here, and I know someone else asked about Cody Shaw asked about Oral Roberts as the side. What do you think, either side or total?
Just gut seems high, just because I think we put Oral Roberts up there at South Dakota State. Looking back at our preseason priors, now we've seen South Dakota State separate themselves early on. They've come back down to earth a little bit. I did make this right around what it actually opened. I think 9.5, 10. I'm staying away, but gut tells me Oral Bob is a pretty feisty dog. It's a big number for conference game, two teams that are pretty competitive.
Yeah, total's like 165. I mean, this I feel like is going to be 95 to 90. So yeah. I'm spooked by taking an under between these two because there's no defense and a ton of offensive weapons, but that is an exceedingly high number. You basically need 80 from both.
Last year, 103 to 86 first game, 95 to 80 second game. Both hit right around 80 possessions. So over is pretty hard to stay away from.
Yeah. And it's a lot of the same guys back for both
right.
teams.
High continuity rosters, right? Yep.
All right, Kai, Prairie View A&M at Wichita State. Prairie View's been off for quite a while after that Boise debacle where I think they had close to 50 fouls as a team, which is insane. And now we got Wichita laying points. What do you think?
Boy, Wichita laying 17 points feels like a mountain to climb for Wichita. But I thought that was a mountain to climb for Boise as well. And we saw, Jim, like you said, how Prairie View came out in that game. I don't know. I'm definitely staying away. My gut tells me that's way too many points, and I'm leaning towards the Panthers.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I think we get a good Prairie View effort after all their time off. Matt, we're going out to Hawaii, the Diamond Head Classic, for 2 questions from Harry R. You're getting both. You got to deal with it.
All right, let's do it.
Liberty, Northern Iowa, and also Wyoming, Stanford. I know it's got asked about a couple times. I'll give an opinion on one of these games, but I'm curious if you have anything on either.
I lean Wyoming, and I lean Northern Iowa.
Okay.
Would you like analysis, or do you want just point?
Up to you.
You and I getting healthier. Liberty they're getting a little healthier.
Five's played 5 minutes last game. That's the big thing to keep an eye on. This fight.
5 minutes. I hope they uptick. Maybe I'm wishful thinking, hoping they will. But the other guys too have been hurt. Noah Carr's been hurt. Bourne's been hurt. They're trending in the right direction. It continues to ooze optimism from the Ben Jacobson coach speak. I buy into it. He's a great coach. They've had good efforts. The Marshall game was pretty impressive second half. I like Northern Iowa.
Yep. The other one, I like Wyoming, Matt. I think they're essentially Stanford's equal. You get a point or two here on the spread. And I guess slow on Stanford. They were able to pull out that conference win over Oregon, but then Texas kind of handled them, although Stanford did cover late. I just think this is a big one for Wyoming. They still got at-large aspirations. Yeah, at-large is
really, yes.
So that's a big one for Wyoming, both in this game and the games they'll get later in this tournament because of getting on the winner's bracket. All right, Kai, Harry's last question. Western Carolina at Charlotte. We did see Charlotte get Musa Jallow back against Maryland Eastern Shore, and he had a really impactful game. Yeah. So I'm kind of leaning Charlotte. What do you think?
10 points feels like a lot. I don't know. Charlotte, I don't think Charlotte's been favored by 10 against anybody this year. I could be wrong on that.
They just covered against Maryland Eastern Shore.
Oh, okay, Maryland Eastern Shore. Okay, except Maryland Eastern Shore. Yeah. And West Kentucky, we've talked about a few times.
Western Carolina.
They shot 46 threes last game. 46. They're going to shoot over 40 threes. And that's sometimes pretty scary to go up against, especially in a big spread, because they can backdoor you anytime they want because they're going to shoot a three every time down the floor, and they have some good shooters. I think we talked about Charlotte's terrible rim defense too this year. Basically, Charlotte's defense is terrible, and that leans me to lean towards the double-digit dog.
Yeah, Western Carolina is such a high variance team where maybe you're even looking at money line just because of what can happen when they get hot.
Yeah.
Matt, a couple of whack-a-mole teams for us, but I think we have an angle here. St. Thomas headed to Denver for the second game of the Summit League for both. What do you think?
Denver. First game for St. Thomas going to altitude, but usually how this plays out, Jim, is we endorse a team against St. Thomas, and then they come out and go 10 of 12 from 3 with NBA range and beyond Steph Curry range. But Denver's good, man. They're competitive. They're more athletic. And
Good's
Denver's
probably
not good.
strong, right?
they're way better than last year. So
Yes,
and
definitely.
Just I guess when I say good, it's in relative terms to last season. The line's got a little too high though. I would liked it around 2. It's up to I think 3 now, or it's 2.5, 3. Yeah, buy the hook to 2 if you're going to take it.
Oh, wow. Interesting. All right, let's do 2 more and then go back to the outline. I know there are a lot of questions. We'll finish up with them later. Don't worry. Kai, you get another Summit 1 teams that we've had trouble with. Western Illinois at Omaha. I don't know what you do with this until you know who's playing for Omaha.
Yeah. My reaction right now is fade Omaha.
Don't bet Omaha. Next question.
Yeah. They haven't been bad against the spread, honestly. And Western Illinois, I think, is maybe they haven't covered in the last 2. But there's one clear better team here, and that's Leathernecks. So I just wouldn't bet Omaha, or I'd stay away.
Yep, you're right on the last 2. They did not cover against Eastern Illinois, did not cover at Denver in their opener. All right, Matt, one of your darlings coming into the year, Brandon Gilden, curious about Bradley. They're at UTEP tonight, second round of that little Sun Bowl Invitational. UTEP had major food poisoning issues last night. Boom did not play. A couple others sat. Do you think that gives Bradley the edge here, even without Ja'Shawn Henry?
Yeah, no Henry, and then no Boom last night, as you mentioned, the whole food poisoning thing. Just a lot of weird variables at play, bubbling beneath the surface. That's why I'm not getting involved. If you removed all of that, I would be on UTEP as much as I love Bradley. So that makes me a little more confident in my UTEP play because I know I'm fairly high on the Braves this season. But you mentioned, last game was Benamy's first game back. You have to integrate him. Maybe without Boom, the whole food poisoning thing. I don't know. Can we get some Tums? Get these boys ready to go. Get the miners ready to go. Because I want to do this. I know everyone loves when I hammer the hang loose miners sign. So that's what I want.
Yeah, I mean Bradley's a 1.5 point favorite. This is at UTEP. Bradley just played there, but maybe you still give a point or so for home. There's a chance Boom could play. Food poisoning is usually like a 3-day thing.
Do we have modelers in the group in the chat mob that can run a point approximation value of food poisoning 24 hours after the fact? I might be on UTEP here as a late ad. Thank you for asking this question, by the way.
Verhoeven also missed. I think Alfred Hollins also missed yesterday.
And Hollins, the Oregon State.
So got to keep an eye on lineups. I mean, I think if Boom's in, you're getting them as a dog. That's crazy.
That's crazy. Yep.
All right, let's go back to the outline. Plenty more questions that I'm accumulating here. Don't worry, folks. We will get to them.
All right, let's keep it rolling here. Almost forgot I was running the show here, Kai. I was waiting for you to step in, but no, this is my program. This is my show today. This is my show today. And what a delectable mid-major showdown we have here in the New York proper. The Monmouth Hawks, the ATS Darlings. I wonder if they'll go the entire season and cover every single game. So far, they're 12-0, almost halfway through, and they have not been beaten by the odds makers. They're hosting the pride of HOFSTRA, no pun intended, who just went in to Fayetteville and knocked off Pig Suey without their star guard, Zach Cooks.
At Little Rock.
Sorry, that's right. I wasn't at Fayetteville. At Bud Walton. I should definitely mention that. Who cares? She was in the state of Arkansas, and it was an impressive win, and Arkansas should be ashamed of that. But Kai, maybe that's just how good HOFSTRA is. We saw them scare the pants off Houston opening game.
Yep.
But man, Monmouth's a wagon. What do you see here?
Well, Monmouth's in New Jersey, so I know you said New York proper. I just want to make sure.
Sorry, but I know it's in
Westtown,
West Long Branch. I believe.
West Long Branch.
Yes,
Okay,
that's right.
I think Cook's status is key. Obviously, they did win against Arkansas, but man, he is awesome on both ends. He's a steel machine, basically. Monmouth puts its perfect ATS record on the line here, 12-0 against the spread. Jim HOFSTRA's really good. When this was around 5.5, I think it's come down since. I was really tempted to hop in on the pride. There's no real matchup angles here I can think of besides Walker Miller inside. Eolia for HOFSTRA has been excellent, but he's foul prone. Mm-hmm. You get him out, and it's tough sledding for the pride. It's a stay away for me, slightly in towards HOFSTRA.
Yeah, stay away here. I think you got to know Cook's status before you really go in on this one. Despite them winning without him last game, I do think he matters quite a bit. And he, despite being tiny, he's like you said, he's a really good defender. He's long for like a 5'10" guy. So they need him to guard Reynolds. They need somebody to chase around Georgie Pappas. And yeah, the interior battle is a lot of fun. Walker Miller's had a ton of edges over opponents so far this year, but maybe Iola can somewhat neutralize him. It's a hard stay away from me here. Harry asked about the total in this one. I got nothing, unfortunately. Cooks is just so big for both side and total that it's hard to give a strong opinion.
I probably lean over. Both teams can score.
Okay.
I think
very scientific.
No analysis needed. Just trust your gut. I was actually going to endorse HOFSTRA if it was 5 in the hook, but I see our fine sponsor at BetRivers have it at 4.5 right now. My theory was I actually would still take 5. I think there's value on HOFSTRA at 5.5 without Cooks. So it's sort of like you hop in now, there's a chance he plays, it's going to crash. You can get some good closing line value there. Even if he doesn't, I still think it's, I still think HOFSTRA has proven that they just did, they can play without him. Pretty deep team.
I feel like the line assumes he's out right now.
That's what I thought.
It's not going to go up higher if
it won't go higher. Exactly. It's only going to go one way at this point. I think that's down. So at 5.5, you're definitely getting at the best price. But now it's 4.5. So just sit back, popcorn. Another one you want to watch and enjoy. Two teams that could make some noise in March when we see these two teams hopefully come out of their respective conferences. Yeah. All right, we're headed to the opposite side of the country. Spokane will be playing host stage for Washington State against Boise State. Two long defensive-minded ball clubs here. I've been in on both teams, but the market seems to have sniffed out the value for each as well. So I don't think I've really been fading or backing either team a whole lot here, Jim. For a game that I'm sort of interested in as a fan perspective, I don't have a lot of strong takes from a betting perspective. What are you looking at here?
Well, we faded Wazoo a couple times successfully, I think, hosting South Dakota State.
South Dakota State, yeah.
I was actually in Spokane as well, and they lost.
Oh yeah, good call.
Oh, good point. Yeah.
I don't know. This one's ticking up the line. I was kind of under the impression like, oh, Washington State can throw out some zone stuff that will give Boise State problems because they're very penetration reliant. But they've only played a little bit of zone this year and they've gotten destroyed doing it. So I don't think we'll see a ton of that from the Cougars. Tyrell Roberts is getting a little healthier. That helps Washington State give them a little more of an offensive weapon. He's going to get hot at some point. He's too good of a shooter. But I don't know. I don't have a ton here either. Kai, as this line creeps up, I'm curious if maybe Boise has some COVID issues, so I'm staying away.
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking, Jim, because this line did explode. I think it got over 5 at one point this morning. It's down to 4.5 again. My thoughts are, okay, like always, someone knows if Boise player's out because I don't see why it would be climbing if everyone was healthy. Boise's not been a rollover team at all. And Wazoo literally, like I said, lost at this place to South Dakota State earlier. Boise has a top 35 defense. They've covered 3 straight games, I'm pretty sure. So life without Drew Tribe is no problem for them.
Yeah, I agree.
If everyone's in the lineup, I lean towards Boise at plus 4.5.
Completely agree. 100% in endorsement of that. And you're right, Kai, they're playing better. The travel's not that bad, but it's another example of if you see some sharp movement suddenly out of nowhere that you can't quite explain it, don't be looking to pounce on the other side until you get some lineup clarity, especially for teams like Boise. UMKC comes to mind. Just teams that aren't as deep and don't really have they can't backfill if a few starters are out. Next one here, we're going to Auburn, home Auburn, which has been an absolute juggernaut. They are hosting Murray State, Kai. The Racers, we know they have upset potential. Mm-hmm. I got to think Auburn is not going to take this team lightly, given they probably watched the Memphis game. They know what kind of talent, what kind of shot makers, just pure athleticism that Murray State has. Now Auburn has that in spades. What's your matchup angle here?
Yeah, in general, I just love Auburn. And Flanagan small possibility he's back. It's
unfair to get him back.
Man,
that's unfair.
Once he comes back, this team's going to be a fireball. Murray, tough mid-major. Obviously, they beat Memphis. They beat Chattanooga, which was almost as impressive the way they beat them. 6-2 against the spread. This game likely plays to a higher tempo. Obviously, it favors Auburn a little bit. I don't want to step in front of this Tiger team, even though at 12.5, that feels high for a caliber team like Murray State, a team with KJ Williams who can be a monster on the offensive glass. I think there's too many athletes on the other side, and I'm staying away.
Yeah, home Auburn, Matt, you mentioned they're 4-1 against the spread this year. Not surprising. I mean, that team seems to constantly blow foes out at home. We did see Murray State compete on the road at Memphis against a big athletic squad, but they made a ton of shots in that game. And that was when Memphis was still like internal feuding and wasn't really figured out yet. This one's probably a stay away from me. It feels a little high to back home Auburn against a actual quality squad. So I can't really get on board either side in this one. I don't know, Matt, anything for you?
I do lean Murray. If it 13, I think is where I would draw the line there on that price. And currently it's sitting at just below, I think 12.5 at BetRivers. I'd like to get up to 13 before you hop in on Murray. I know I'm nitpicking on points when you're getting into the teens, but I just don't want to bet against home Auburn. I really don't. On the other token, I like this Murray team a lot, and they have the horses to run with Auburn. It kind of reminds me of like a Western Kentucky type of recipe where they can really play up to their competition because they actually have that type of talent or near close to that type of talent and speed to hang with those guys. All right, last game here on the outline before we get to Chat Mob, and I begrudgingly included this game because Kai believes it's a top 5 rivalry in college basketball, right behind Mizzou KU, right behind Mizzou Arkansas, right behind Mizzou SEMO. So we're going to talk bragging rights, which is a stone's throw from where I'm currently sitting right now in my dad's office downtown. St. Louis playing stage 2, Mizzou, Illinois, for literally bragging rights, because I know you guys like to talk ish to your Illinois friends after you win. And you've won 3 in a row, Jim. Does it sustain today, or does Illinois run circles around you?
The latter. I think there is a lot of trouble for Mizzou when they play up against really good competition. Look what happened to Kansas. Maybe this won't be quite that gruesome, but I don't see how Mizzou stops Kofi Cockburn. Kai, we're going to throw Jordan Wilmore at that. That is going to be the most disgusting mismatch of all time. Kofi's way more mobile than Mr. Wilmore. And I don't even think Wilmore's strong enough to like hold his ground despite being a gigantic human. So then there's going to be doubles coming, and Illinois can hit threes. I have no idea how Mizzou scores here. They're a terrible shooting team. That's a problem against Illinois playing kind of quasi pack line-ish principles. I don't like it, Kai. I'm worried about our Tigers.
Jordan Wilmore's center of gravity is basically the moon. So there's no way he's doing anything against Cockburn. It's going to be a murder scene for Kofi. This game is usually close. So if you want to look for something for Mizzou's favor in a 13.5 point spread here, I think the last real blowout was 05 with that Illinois title team. These two teams just on different scales though right now, Matt. I mean, Illinois is clearly way better. Obviously the spread indicates that. All you can really count on here is Pickett is going to have a huge game because he always steps up against rivalry games, but that's it. I think Illinois covers. I think under is a great play as well. I think
do you?
Oh yeah, Jim. Yeah, what do you think about under?
Under's my best bet here, guys.
Great.
The taker of unders.
Our friends at BetRivers have it up to 139, so I'm excited to add Illinois Mizzou under as my best bet. I just think Mizzou struggles to score over 60, so as long as Illinois doesn't go absolutely nuts, then I like the under here, Matthew.
I think I do as well. The only concern I would have, and actually what I think Kwanzaa should be looking to do, is just go complete extreme small ball, similar to what they did in the Utah game. My brother pointed this out very astutely. Because Utah was without Carlson, as you could just play, they didn't have to play Wilmore, right? They could just play wings, forwards.
Great idea.
And it was it made sense. Like the offense actually had spacing, didn't look as horrific as we've seen. Now you're going to give up 40 to Kofi if you do that, but hey, at least you have a puncher's chance on the other end. Maybe Kofi gets in foul trouble. Maybe you throw some traps, some different deceptive looks. I don't know. You got to try to shake up the pot here. You're 14-point dogs. You're outclassed. You can't just go and play in your game against their game because it's going to end up poorly.
It's the insane part about Mizzou playing small ball is they still don't have shooting.
They don't even have shooting. Yeah.
How do you have that many guards and wings there either?
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
But to me, it feels like the lesser of two evils in this case.
Fair.
All right, back to chat, Mob. I assume you got a flurry. Let's hit him.
Oh, yeah. All right, Kai, you're getting this one. Matt Akers asking about Middle Tennessee at Chattanooga, potentially the SoCon favorite. Nooga back home after a couple tough road games. But Middle Tennessee's been an absolute wagon this year.
One of the best teams against the spread, which is very surprising to us, and I'm sure their fans as well. Down to 8.5, I would start to lean towards Chattanooga at that price. I still think this is an awesome team. They have got Casey Hankton's always in and out of the lineup, but I just think they're much better. I'd probably lean towards them.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not getting in front of Middle Tennessee right now.
Why would you?
Wild. Yeah, it's wild how good they've been against the spread. And the program should be better than it has been the last 2 years. So
definitely. Yep.
I kind of buy it. All right, Matt, out west near me. You talked about the game that's nearby you, but we're talking San Diego at UNLV for a leg show here. He thinks it's too high. UNLV laying 9. I would tend to agree. UNLV not a great big favorite, but San Diego's got issues on the roster.
Yeah, it did feel a little high to me. I've had UNLV rated a little higher than the market most of the year. So unfortunately, that's why I'm not going to be following. It sounds like he's sniffing out the Treras here as a value play. I don't think he's wrong. They got some key guys back. I think Terrell Brown's back in the lineup now. They got one more starter who I'm blanking on.
I don't think Calcaterra is back yet.
Townsend and Calcaterra, I think, are both out.
Townsend's out. Okay. Terrell Brown's big, though. He's like their big guy up front. He has some muscle, and he's got some size and some length. You need to be able to at least compete on the boards here. They got some. Not a
They
lot,
have no
some.
size. UNLV has no size. That's their weakness.
Well, San Diego doesn't have much either besides Brown. So they could manhandle even USD without him. But he's back. I lean USD.
All right. Kai, you are the man from the barn. Or you love the barn, Minnesota.
I do like the barn.
Green Bay headed to Minnesota. Any reason to get involved with this game? I don't have a strong take here. Is this the instance of sleepy home team during this odd pre-holiday week? Is that what we're looking at?
I'm not sure Green Bay is a team you want to take the chance with because they are so awful. However, they are going to play like a snail's pace. So there's a possibility the possession count is just so low that they end up covering by mistake. I would stay totally away.
Covering by mistake. I like that.
I don't love this version of Minnesota as a large home favorite, especially in a game that's probably going to play like a low 60 possession. I'd lean Green Bay.
Yeah, total's 130. It's slightly low.
Yeah, Corpus Christi just hung around with Minnesota in a very sleepy spot for the Gophers. So maybe Green Bay can do the same. Speaking of slow teams, Matt, we've got the slowest one in the country, Southern Illinois. They're headed out west. Weird travel spot here for the Salukis, heading to San Francisco. We know the Dons are in that at-large mix. Their win against Davidson looks great now. So do they get it done here, laying about 11 or so against Southern Illinois, or do you think that the dog in a slow game has the value?
I think there could be some value, especially with San Francisco coming off that huge win against Arizona State. And SIU has sort of adapted to their injuries in the backcourt. I believe I read they're playing 3 forwards to try and negate the lack of guard depth. And you're playing whack-a-mole who's playing. Lance Jones missed last game. They did get Ben Harvey back. They're still without Trent. So I don't know. I don't like playing a team with such instability on the perimeter, but they seem to have, Brian Mullen seems to have figured it out. I would lean Salukis.
Yeah. Lance Jones expected to play, I believe.
He is? Okay. Well, that's huge.
Kai, Portland at UC Davis. John Doe, our boy John Doe, asking about this one. A couple other people asked too. We have kind of liked Portland as an underdog this year, but UC Davis has been good in their own right. Anything for you here?
Do we have a lineup check on Portland? I feel like they've been banged up a little bit. I don't know if that's true or not. After that Portland dismantling at the hands of San Jose State, I'm kind of pumping the brakes a little bit on how excited I got with Portland. Maybe I raised a little bit too much.
No, stay on them. No, stay with them.
But I tell you, pilots. UC Davis is a good team. I think we've said a lot of times, don't worry about the Academy of Arts game. Doesn't matter. In their D1 games, they have been, for the most part, extremely solid. It's a stay away from me here. Nothing really strong either way.
Yeah, that's kind of the way I feel. Mostly like both teams. Matt, you love your boy Bob Huggins. He is facing one of his old assistants at Youngstown State today. West Virginia hosting Youngstown. This is an Austin Rayleigh question. Spread felt a tad low to me, but I'm nervous about the mentor-mentee matchup here.
Price-wise, it is low, in my opinion. But backing West Virginia off that war that they just went through at UAB to come out with that awesome road victory that they badly needed, they come back. You're playing your old assistant. Saw the same narrative with Purdue playing Incarnate Word. Not like Purdue took their foot off the gas purposefully, but there's just seems to be some inherent. You're not trying to blow the doors off your former mentee, which is a word which we confirmed last show. So for that reason, I'm going to stay away. It's West Virginia or bust, but I'm going to stay away.
All right. Kai, Florida is hosting Stony Brook, who has been kind of a rocket ship since Elijah Olani went out. Florida has been up and down. They had the loss to Texas Southern. They've been okay in other games as a home favorite. Cody is curious about this one, though. Anything for you?
19's a lot of points. I'm leaning towards Stony Brook.
Yes, agree.
Yeah, this was we talked about the Minnesota sleepy home favorite. Like that's where this could really play up. And Stony Brook's actually good. So, if you're backing the dog there, you're actually backing a decent team. All right, we can go quick hitter, guys. There's still quite a few left. Matt, you get a question from a fellow Matt Akers. Idaho State at Santa Barbara. Man, I kind of think Idaho State stinks. Santa Barbara has not been good against the spread, though. Anything for you?
Yeah, I would lean Idaho State, but they're down Robert Ford, really key starter. Last game, the Bengals were. So if you can confirm he's in, I would take it. But, lineups, especially in the Big Sky this year, have been sort of whack-a-mole. So not trying to leap in with any enthusiasm there, Jim.
Yep. Speaking of lineups to check, Kai, Luke Putnam asking about Lipscomb headed to LSU. We know Asan Sajula is massively important here. How important is he, Kai? Are you all the way over on LSU?
He's worth like 100 points. Yeah, LSU is going to murder Lipscomb today. If Sajula is out of lineup, which we expect him to be, it's not going to be close. LSU.
No, it'll be close for 20 minutes, and then it'll be a 42-1 run.
I'm not even sure Lipscomb can compete in a half against LSU without him.
Yeah, you're right. It might be over.
Right? LSU just has like too many good defenders to be sleepy. It's not like two guys really make the difference defensively. Everybody in that squad is disruptive. So I think they're going to cause problems right away. Matt, a team I haven't liked is a big favorite, Texas. They're hosting Alabama State. Also kind of been poor against the spread lately with some injuries. You think they hang around with the big boy Longhorns in Gerald Liddell's return to Austin?
Yeah, that's right. The Gerald Liddell Bowl. Who would have? I know he had this one circled on his calendar. I don't know if anyone else did. Shouts to Jordan Majeski, who with some timely tweet updates here, confirming that Bama State is down 2 starters. Trace Young, Jim, I know who matters a lot to you, and Jordan O'Neal.
It matters a lot to me. That makes it sound like I have like a connection.
Jim, he's your
boy.
A lot. He's your boy. Right. Without them, I think it's a bloodbath. Even as bad as Texas has been as a large favorite and as slow and as annoying as they are to back as a large favorite, I would lean that way.
Yep. Kai, Chicago State headed to Drake. I believe are they playing back-to-back here? Yeah, they were at Iowa State yesterday. Now they're at Drake. Obviously not a ton of travel there, but that's a tough situation for them.
I don't want to back Drake without Rowan Penn. That's kind of my rule.
Yes, so, I agree.
And potentially no Tramel Murphy either.
And Murphy as well. Yeah, it sucks. We're basically in the same situation as, was it last year or 2 years ago? No Penn, no Murphy. Yeah, It's a shame for Drake. No interest in backing Chicago State, though.
And no Yusufu to bail him out this year. It sucks.
Exactly. Yep.
All right, Matt, another one from another Matt. This one's Matt Winnick. East Tennessee State at
Matt
Georgia.
Let's
a couple
go.
people asking actually about East Tennessee State at Georgia. I have an opinion here. I'm curious if you do.
Yeah, I know you both do. I have no opinion, so I'm going to toss it right back to you. How about that? Little ping pong.
I think Georgia stinks, and I think East Tennessee State's pretty solid, and no Jalen Ingram for Georgia with the torn ACL. That gives the edge to the Bucks. I think they're a little more motivated here, as a chance to get a big SEC road win, whereas Georgia is just like whatever. It's East Tennessee State, so yeah, I like the Bucks. Kai, the other question from Matt Winnick is your best bet game, so we're going to holster that for just another second here. That's Missouri State, St. Mary's. Coming up in a second, and we'll finish before we do that with Harry's question. Longwood at Abilene, Kai. 2 teams that have been, I would say, better than expectations, have blown a few teams out. Anything for you on that one?
Spread short, I think. -6 right now. Longwood took some money. That's surprising, man. Abilene can be an absolute terror to play against, especially at home. I would lean towards Abilene.
Yeah, I like the over.
Kind of with you.
I like the over. Like this game goes just crazy. Possessions galore.
Yeah, Abilene's been playing pretty fast offensively, so I don't hate that. Their defense is just so good.
Yeah.
All right, let's finish it up with best bets. I know, Matt, you and I already revealed ours, but why don't you recap yours, and then we'll get Kai's as well.
I'm taking the Hoos, Virginia, back home at JPJ conference game. Forget about everything we've seen from Virginia this year. This is a fresh slate, a blank canvas, Kai, to get back on track. And I know Clemson shot it well this season. But hey, I'm banking on maybe a 10 of 30 from 3 today, and the Who's good at done by 6.
Hey, good for
-4.
You had 3.5, by the way.
Sorry, 3 and a hook. Thank you. Yeah. Not -4, 3.5.
My best bet. We haven't talked about it. St. Mary's -6 is my best bet. Tough travel from Missouri State here. Totally random West Coast game. Tips at 9 p.m. Central. Missouri State just had 3 straight home games. Now traveling to California for a one-off before holiday break. I think that sets up really nicely for St. Mary's. And they're also coming off a loss with San Diego State. They're hungry to get back here. Matchup-wise, I think Gage Prim has a one-on-one advantage, but St. Mary's defense, it's a helping cluster of awesomeness. And Tass is big enough to stay there, and Bennett is good enough of throwing doubles and making life hell for teams. I think he comes out with a dynamite game plan. They obviously protect the paint so well. Worried about the Bears shooting just a little bit. That's pretty much every single game. So I'm taking St. Mary's -6 as my best bet.
It was very close to a bet for me, Kai. So I like where your head is at there. All right. And then to recap, mine was Mizzou, Illinois under 139, counting on Mizzou trying to slow the pace and not being able to score at all. So hoping for no points in the bragging rights game there. All right, guys, I believe that wraps it up. Matt, you want to take us home?
Yeah. Hey, before we sign off here, remember the feed is changing, and we'll try and keep you posted on specific instructions as to how to find that. Just make sure to follow us on @3MW_CVB. We will make sure we place you in the right audience. I assume through the actual channel page itself, we'll have directions there as well. But those of you who've tuned in all year, thank you. Come back in 2022.
Well, Matt, we're going to be back before the new year.
2022. That's right. We're not quite to the new year yet. We'll be back to preview the gauntlet of games that will be unveiled on New Year's Day. It's going to be a huge slate. It's always a scary one. And again, subscribe. Hit the button right now. Smash it. But don't break your keyboard. Good luck today. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Whatever you celebrate. Thanks for coming by.